Good morning, associates and all. Welcome to the very first KWFM podcast hosted by myself and Taryn.
Today we will be speaking to a very special individual who has taken time out of his busy schedule to come and speak to us. Welcome, Errol, our auctioneer.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for giving us the opportunity to do this. Hopefully it'll be beneficial to everybody.
100%. Just a quick question. How's your day going so far?
Good. We had a good brokers meeting. I presented a little bit there and a normal, work day. What happens in the work day. So thank God, all good.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
And a good weekend?
Yes, lovely. Thank you. And you all?
Yes, very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is your background in the auctioneering department and how long have you been in the industry?
Okay, so my background is I studied law at Wits University and practiced for quite a number of years. And then for some unknown reason, I'm still trying to fathom why, I was given another opportunity to take a bit of a 180 degree, and I went into the auction industry about 12 odd years ago, and I've been in the auction industry since then. I head up the auctions division for Keller Williams, and thank God, going very, very busy, very, very well, and that's about it, yeah.
So from the start, you never really imagined yourself getting into auctions?
Well, my life was completely different. I was practicing as an attorney, very busy in a big practice. And as I said, for unknown reasons and for some known reasons, my life just took another turn and went into property and more specifically into auctions. And that's where I've been since then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, been very busy and very... a lot of learning, a lot of work, a lot of,
Yeah, I can imagine. It's completely different to what you were focused around.
Yeah, completely different.
And for how long has the auction industry been around for?
So the auction industry has probably been around in South Africa for about 65, 70 years. It was started by a gentleman named Eddie Winterstein, who I actually trained with at another company, never mind the name. But in any event, he probably started the auction industry about 65, 70 years ago, and he trained me, and today there must be hundreds, maybe thousands of auction brokers. It's fast becoming the preferred way to sell properties in South Africa, most definitely in the world as well. Just as a statistic, in Australia, 95% of all residential sales in Australia are done on auction. So much so that the major companies in South Africa, real estate agency companies in South Africa, are starting their own auction divisions within their own companies, because they found that they are losing market share. When the agents cannot sell the properties, they are then being transferred and referred to other auction houses, so they're losing that market share. So they're basically now starting their own auction divisions to keep that market share within their own companies. So it's becoming really, really the fast preferred way to sell properties today by auction.
How long did it take for the auction department to gain traction in South Africa?
Well, it's been going, as I said, for 65, 70 years. I would say in the last, 10, 15 years, it's come to the forefront. There were a couple of wobbles along the way. Other auction houses did naughty things, and there was created a negative perception. There is still a little bit of a perception in the market about auction industry, although it's becoming much, much better now, and I think people today are more understanding of the process, of the advantages to both buyer and seller, and that it's a quick, transparent, upfront procedure. So it's definitely in the last 10 or so, 15 years, it's become very, very preferred, as I said, very busy. I mean, I think most auction houses are busy. I think also in this time that we find ourselves in, it's a very difficult, challenging time with the COVID. There are a lot more distressed sellers around, unfortunately, which is a good thing in a way for the auction industry, because it means more work. But it's becoming really, as I said, the preferred way, and very, very busy, very, very busy.
Well, it's always good to be busy.
Yeah, 100%.
So you mentioned that it's a big advantage to the sellers
Yes.
to auction their properties. Can you give us more information on that?
So basically, the big advantage to the sellers is, number one, they don't pay our commission. As in a normal conventional sale, the seller would be paying our commission. In an auction, whether you're selling mining equipment, artwork, cars, or anything like that, the buyer pays the commission. Okay. So it's accepted practice. The seller does not pay the commission, the buyer pays the commission. Another big advantage is, on the day, the buyer pays a 15% deposit, which is put into our trust account. We run a trust account very similar to an attorney's trust account. We're part of the EAAB, the Estate Agents Affairs Board. We monitored, we audited, everything like that. The third big advantage is that every single auction offer is an unconditional cash offer. In other words, it is not conditional on the buyer selling another property to pay for this property or getting a bond, getting a loan, or in whatever form or manner. It's not conditional on that. That offer that he makes is unconditional for a period of 3 days. The offer is presented to the seller. The seller has 3 days in which to either accept or reject the offer. If we haven't met the mandate price, he has to decide, and he has that time, and the buyer cannot withdraw that offer. And another very big advantage to the seller is that from date of acceptance, the buyer has 21 working days, it's roughly a month, to pay for the balance of the purchase price. And that goes into the attorney's trust account, the conveyancer or conveyancing attorney, and that has to be in within 21 working days. Okay, there is enough time for that person to go get a bond, but remember, it's not conditional on him getting a bond. So by the end of that 21st day, that money has to be in the account. So basically, there are lots of advantage to the seller. It's a very quick, very direct, very open and transparent procedure for everybody. For the buyer as well. The buyer knows exactly where they stand. We tell them on numerous occasions what the terms and conditions are. They know exactly what is required of them.
How long does it take to set up an auction?
Okay, so we need about 3 to 4 weeks prior to the auction to set up we do a very comprehensive and aggressive marketing campaign. But basically what we do in a nutshell, we advertise the property, everything about the property, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, location, etc., legalities, etc., on all the web-based property sites like Private Property, Property 24, AOL, Gumtree, the auctioneer. We then initiate a very aggressive social media campaign. It's done 10 days prior to the auction, because we find that anything before that, buyers tend to forget about it. So we're in their face for about 10 days prior to the auction. We set up about 60 to 80 posters, street pole posters on high volume traffic areas where people will see it. We have a database where we send out newsletters and all my information pack, which I prepare. So that's done over a period of 3 to 4 weeks. Then we do the auction, and then we have 1 month after that. If we've sold the property, then we use that time period to get it's a 21-day time period to get the balance of the purchase price. If we don't sell the property, and obviously nobody can guarantee that we can sell, or we do sell, we certainly try our best, but that we will use that period of the mandate, the balance of the mandate, to still try and get an offer from everybody who's made an inquiry, all the bidders, the underbidders, etc. So it's basically a 2-month period. We take a 2-month mandate, and we have a month after the auction to get everything organised into if we sell or if we don't sell.
And what are the costs involved in the auction
so
process?
obviously there are costs involved. We have suppliers who expect to be paid. Obviously, they don't just do it for their health. So they do posters and boards, and even old Mr. Zuckerberg, he wants his fee for Facebook, for the listings. So we use sort of a tariff on a sliding scale. The higher the value of the property is, the more we'd like to spend on the property, because it is a little bit more difficult to sell, being higher value, because your pool of buyers is less. So we generally spend, as the value of the property gets higher, so we spend a little bit more. But generally we spend between about 12,500 to 15,000 Rand on the property, depending on the property. And we also put money into the property, money, time, effort, etc., etc. But remember, that is the only outlay for the seller. The seller has no other outlay in the whole process, or no other obligation to Keller Williams or to me. That's all they pay in the whole process. They do not get hit with a bill at the end of the sale or when the transfer is going through for between 7.5% and 9% commission. They don't pay the commission. So that's the only outlay in the whole process.
Okay. So will there be any cost to the agent?
No, the agent doesn't have that. We do all the advertising, which we hopefully get contribution from the seller, and that will cover most of the advertising costs.
And are you able to take any offers before the auction?
So yes, that's absolutely the first prize. We take an offer. Obviously, it's going to be subject to the auction terms and conditions, like I just told you. 15% deposit. It's an unconditional cash offer. 21 days to guarantees, etc., etc. So definitely we do. Definitely that's the first prize. The second prize is to sell in the auction, and the third prize is obviously to do it after the auction if we can. But we definitely will consider pre-auction offers. It will be presented to the seller like a normal sale, and it will be subject to the seller confirming and accepting.
Right, so what happens if the property is not sold on the auction?
Okay, if it's not sold at auction, we use that 30-day period after the auction. Remember, I said there's a 2-month exclusive sale mandate.
Yes.
1 month we use for the advertising campaign. The second month we go back to all the bidders, all the underbidders, everybody who's made an inquiry on the property. I will go back to them. I will now be in a different position as I was beforehand. Beforehand, we couldn't tell them what the mandate price is because it is confidential, and it would then defeat the purpose of an auction because somebody would know what the mandate price is and would bid to that mandate price and then leave it. We obviously want people to bid higher than the mandate price, but now once this property the auction has passed and we haven't sold, we are in another position, in a better position, because we know exactly what the seller wants, and we can go directly back to the buyers and tell them this is what we need to make the sale, and we can try and do a deal from there. But we will use that 30-day period after the auction to try and get an offer, and we do a lot of offers after that.
And in that time after the auction, the first auction,
Yes.
would you ever auction the property again?
So yes, we would. I have done a subsequent auction to the first. It basically depends on the property itself, what kind of inquiries we had, how many inquiries we had, what kind of interest we had. It would depend. There are circumstances that would depend on. But generally, we would consider another auction, and obviously within the space of time. It would not be too close together because it would be sending out a negative message to buyers that we didn't sell in the first one, and we're trying to be desperate to sell again. So there are a lot of factors that we would take into account.
Right, 100%. And why should agents refer their properties to you, and at what stage?
Okay, so there's a major advantage for the agents to sell properties. Number one is that they are sitting with these properties on their books, on databases, on the listings without any sale. So basically, it's doing nothing for them. They're not earning money, they're not selling it, nothing, okay. I will come in, look at the property, do an assessment on the property, try to get a mandate for the auction, and try and sell it. I will price counsel the sellers so that we bring the offer more in line with market related value, because very often the listing prices are not market related. It's really what the seller wants out of the property, which the seller does not make really an informed decision. It's a lot of sentimentality is involved. They don't make a very informed decision. When I do an assessment, I cut to the bone. I do not sugarcoat the value. I will tell the seller this is exactly what you can achieve on an auction. So another big advantage so that's the first advantage to the brokers. The second advantage is they participate and they share in the commission that we earn. We charge 10% plus VAT. Okay, they will get 50% of that value of that commission without doing any work. There's very little or no work for the brokers to do once they've given me the auction. So bearing in mind what they would earn on a normal sale, this is exactly the same what they would earn without any work, basically. One more advantage, major advantage, is they don't need to wait to date of transfer for them to get paid, which is usually 3 months, can be 4 months, depending on the problems and the delays in the deeds office. They get paid on acceptance of the offer and payment of the deposit, which is usually within that week. So they will get the auction commission paid to them within a week.
A very big benefit that is
Huge benefit.
waiting
Huge benefit.
4 months.
Huge benefit. Yeah.
Okay. So what is expected of the agent once the property has been referred to you?
Okay. So nothing really. I do like to for them to come with me to see the seller. I think, in fact, I encourage it because, in a way, that gives them an idea of what the process is all about, how it is, what it is, etc. So I would probably maybe use them for before the process. Try if there are buyers who want to review the property, they would maybe help me taking the buyers through. But there's not really much for them to do. I will do all the listings. I will do all the artwork for the posters. I will do all the inquiries, the auction packs, everything like that. There's not really much for them to do. After the auction, they may be used to get documentation together because it is their seller. I do like them to, as I said, come with me to these sellers because it is their client and they have the relationship. They can reduce me, but there's not really much for them to do. So, bearing in mind that they're going to be earning 50% of the commission, that's really a no-brainer. They're not really
Yeah.
required to do much work on it.
And you take all the stress.
I take all the stress and the phone calls at night and then the weekends
Yes.
and speaking to Sunette on at night and the weekends.
And Sunette, she's your admin.
Oh, what an admin. What an admin lady. Thank God. Yeah. So she's always there to help and always willing and able.
Oh, that's good.
Brilliant.
That's wonderful.
Okay, well, before we close off, is there anything you would like to tell the agents to encourage
I
them?
think it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You're sitting with stock. Get the stock to me. Let's try get it sold. Get your commission. Get your earnings. You can eat in 3 days instead of 90 days, as Lebo, our admin manager, says. Get it to me. Let me have a look at it. If it's not possible, if the seller is unreasonable, we don't take it on. We don't waste time. I won't waste my time. But get the stock to me. Let me see if I can help you. I'll do price counseling. I will get the mandate at the right price, and it's to your advantage to sell.
100%.
Yeah, wonderful. And thank you so much for
My
being
pleasure,
with
and
us
thank
today.
you for this forum.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
It's
Good.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much.
day. Cheers. All right, thank you to Errol. If you guys have any inquiries, please feel free to message Errol on 072 276 2136. He also accepts phone calls and emails. Thank you so much for listening.